Hey girl, hey, how you doing today? I'm Ruth Delgado and this is Ruth Delgado's Glamour Page. Welcome to my channel for those of you who have not stopped by and seen my channel before, and for those of you who have already stopped by and subscribed, welcome back. I am going to be producing a video today that is a part of my series. If you are already subscribed, which by the way, if you are new and this content today seems like something that you're interested in and that you would like to see more of, place a comment in the comment section and let me know, as well as subscribe to the channel and press the bell notification key so that you can be notified every time I upload. So what I'm going to be talking about today, it's not Saturday, but I'm probably actually going to upload this video on Saturday, so it's still honoring Saturday. So if you guys are already subscribed, you know about my Sexy Saturday Stripper Tale series that I've already, I think I did three videos on that already. So this will be the fourth video. I see that you guys are starting to really get into those stories and that series. I appreciate you guys for viewing, and my new subscribers and my likes that I've gotten from that video. Thank you guys so much for that. So I decided to create another one for you guys to add to the series, add to the collection, right? So today I decided to pull out of my bag of old stories a few mini stories. These aren't long, so this shouldn't be a really long video. I'm going to say roundabout, because I'm about to dive right into it. This video may take me about an hour. If it's more than an hour, maybe 15 minutes over, but it shouldn't be no more than that. So I'm not taking up too much of your time, and it's a fun ordeal. It's not so serious. You know, I'm not always serious on every video. So this is one of the not so serious videos. So check me out. All right. If you guys see me constantly looking down, I have some notes here on my, actually on my paper now, because I had the notepad, but the paper, y'all know how you using the notepad. That's one of the reasons why I stopped using the notepad, because y'all know how you using the notepad and you're trying to like change the page and it just comes straight off like that just did. So I guess I just call it a piece of paper since it's no longer attached to the notepad. But anyway, so the first story that I'm going to share with you guys, these are real life stories about, if you haven't watched any of these videos, let me tell you what the Sexy Saturday Stripper Tales series is about. Basically, these are a lineup of short stories that I decided to coin together and tell you guys about, just to share with y'all my journey that I had when I was dancing. And to like get you guys to see the humor sometimes and the craziness that is involved in being a dancer and that kind of lifestyle, and some of the crazy things that happens and that dancers go through being in that type of a scene. And I know nobody made you be a dancer, nobody made me be a dancer, none of that, but usually when people become dancers or get that type of lifestyle, they usually adapt to that, not because they want to. They usually adapt to that because finances get low. They might have complications with their actual regular job, or they might not even have a regular job, or if they do have a regular job, they have issues with it, or they might work another regular job as well as dancing to make more money for whatever they need it for. So it's different strokes for different folks. But it was this one time that right before I had to leave this club, it was a club that I was dancing at for, it was a good minute, probably about 5 to 6 months. But I made a lot of money in there like close to right before I walked away from it. So let me explain. So it was like a huge, like really, really big club. It was like one of those kind of clubs that's like upscale, and they required you to wear like fashionable outfits. You couldn't just wear just anything. Um, and they required you to make sure that your hair was done, your makeup was done. It was one of those type of clubs. So it was really like when you did make money, you can make a whole lot of money in this club. So I started to get regulars like right around the time where I had to leave. So I had started to be able to get some customers that was like, "Oh, I like you." Every time they came in, they was looking for me to go ahead and do a dance with or whatever, and they would literally come in, find me, get some dances, and leave. Like that's the kind of clientele that I was starting to build literally right before I had to leave. And I say had to leave because I was going through issues where it was some racism, like, because it was a predominantly white club. So it was some racism that I was going through, but it was some obvious, like, real hate and frustration that I was going through as well. I had noticed, I think it was probably even the day that I ended up deciding to quit, that I was sitting there and I was dancing and I was entertaining. And, like, you had to get up on the stage to dance and go ahead and do your thing. And then you had to like go around because it was like a bend that you could go around, like a bend, and then there was the bar. So it was like a bend area where you could walk at, where the barmaids and stuff usually would walk at to serve people at the bar. On the other side was the people at the bar who was usually either getting drinks or whatever, or I mean, not getting drinks because this was like a BYOB kind of club, but just interacting with the club people. So I was going around that bend to collect some tips because basically you would get up on the stage, you would go ahead, do your thing, dance, whatever. And then after you finish your set of like however many songs you dance to, which probably pretty much was like between 2 to 4 songs, depending on the rotation that day. And then you would come down and then you would go in rotation around the bend and see if you could get some tips. If you didn't get any tips, or whether you got tips or not, just to see if you could get some tips from the people that's sitting around the bar area. So I had that day, it wasn't that many people around the bend, but of course, you still go to them because they're standing there. And it was one rule, and I knew that rule since I started dancing at that club, that nobody was usually allowed to sit in that bin area unless they were tipping. Like literally, the bouncer, my friend that I'm going to be talking about later in this video taping, my friend that actually helped me get the job and that actually worked as a bouncer there, he was the one that let me know, like, yo, if it's dudes sitting in this area and they're not tipping, they either have to leave or you need to tell security like me or somebody else to put them out, because they're not allowed. Now they can be in the club without tipping, but they have to stay a distance off, like sit at one of the tables that was a far distance away. So since I seen it was like three or four people like scattered around on the bar part, I was trying to go to them to see if I can get some tips, because this was a very, 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 oh my God, extremely slow day. So I was going around, hey, how you guys doing? Like really being friendly. Because that's how you got to be when you, well, like, that's how I had to be when I was dancing. I had to be friendly. I had to be like very flirtatious and stuff like that. So I was doing my little thing, being friendly, being flirtatious, trying to get some tips. And y'all know, soon as I walked up to the people, they would literally back away from the table. Soon as I walked up to them, and they had done it to me multiple times. So I know I wasn't tripping. So I was just like, okay, so this is like blatant, obvious disrespect type thing, because y'all know y'all not even supposed to be sitting in this area. And I actually said that to them too. I was like, y'all should already know y'all not even supposed to be sitting in this area unless y'all tipping. And they was just looking at me like I was crazy. So that, amongst a few other situations that I had to go through working in that club, made me feel like, you know what, as opposed to constantly going through this craziness and this BS, I might as well find another club where I'm going to be able to work better and, still make money. So that's why I say I had to leave, because I did leave on my own cognizance. They didn't fire me. But basically, I was starting to really build my clientele and really get a stable following and support system and tipping from the people that was regularly starting to come to me. So imagine how upset I was when I did realize that I had to walk away from that, because I was really finally starting to make a lot of money in there, because when I first got to this very club, like I said, it was predominantly white. So I went through a lot of racist stuff straight from the rip. But certain days made up for the times that I went through the BS a lot of times. But then it got to this crazy dry spell that I had gotten sick and tired of paying for the house fee and ending up not getting paid myself so that I could be able to take care of what I had to take care of. So a lot of the times I had went to work just to pay my house fee, because they would not let you work or continue to work if you didn't pay house fee. So it was just like a lot. And for those of you that may not know what house fee is, um, basically as a dancer or a stripper or a entertainer, whatever you might want to call it, um, when you go to do that type of job, excuse me, y'all. When you go to do that kind of job, it's a lot of people that take money from you. Like, everybody be breaking you through the clothes. It's a bunch of different fees that you got to take care of. And basically, the house fee is the amount of money that you give to the club or whatever establishment that you're actually working at. It's an amount of money that you usually give to them so that you can be able to work there that day or that night or whatever the situation is. And then I say it's a bunch of fees because it's also a fee for the person, or a tip out for the person that's playing the music, the DJ. And it's also sometimes depending on the club that you dancing at and how much you had them help you out. It's also a fee for if you have any bouncers assist you. Like, let's say if it's a really busy night, and a lot of times this would happen too, especially at this club. If it's a really extremely busy night and it's like a lot of people in the club and it's a lot of money and it's like very hectic, it behooves you, okay, to grab one of the bouncers earlier in that night before the night really kicks off and get busy. Grab one of the bouncers and tell them, listen, and usually speak with money, okay? Usually take some money with you and be like, listen, put the money in their hand and be like, listen, I need you tonight to help me out. And when I'm on my rotation, going from one stage to the next stage to the next stage to the next stage, when I'm collecting my money, when I'm getting my outfit together to put my outfit back on and all of that kind of stuff, I need you to help me to get and stay into rotation and be able to keep up on my time on being able to show up on my sets on time. And a lot of times that helped, because you did not want to be falling behind and late as hell coming up on the stage to do your set, and then the next girl ready to come up after you and not having no pity on you that you got up there late. So it was a lot of that going on. I'm telling you, it's a part of me that kind of miss dancing. I'm not gonna lie, because the partying part, the having fun, having a good time, and just like letting your hair down, is just like really just, hey, party over here, ain't nothing over there, type thing. But I don't miss the hecticness that kind of had me a lot of times discombobulated and having my anxiety really messing with me. Like it went down, especially at that club. And it was a few clubs that I danced at that was like that. But this particular club was like, yeah, you wanted to stay on your ish. And also, if you had the bouncer like help you take your bags out to your car, like me, a lot of times I had somebody with me or something like that. Or sometimes I might have a bouncer help me take my bags to my car, but not my car, but to the car that I'm going from point A to point B in. But doing all of that, of course, nobody's trying to do anything for free. So therefore you would have to tip them out too and give them something for helping you out throughout the night. So, literally it's just so many different avenues where you have to pay for and you have to take care of. Like I said, you had to pay for getting your makeup done. You wasn't getting that done for free. And if your outfits wasn't up to par and if they look kind of raggedy and like too stringy and like kind of messed up looking, then you would have had to go and buy yourself an outfit from the house mom. So it was just a lot that bled your pockets as a dancer. And that I do not miss at all because child, even if you didn't want to spend money, you kind of had to spend money in order to make it. You had to spend money to go ahead and get the makeup done. You had to spend money to go ahead and get the decent outfit so that you can make money for the night. Like it was a lot. But I remember that these guys that was becoming regulars for me, they used to spend a lot on me in one night. One of my best nights that was hectic, child. It was crazy in there that night. One of my best nights was a night that I made like $800, and I actually probably made more than that. I probably made like over 1,000 for real, for real. But like I said, with all of them payouts and stuff that I had to do, like taking care of making sure I had a ride back and forth, and sometimes I used to take care of my own drinks. So keeping all of that in mind, with me walking away with 800, I probably made over $1,000 that night. But with tipping everybody out, getting makeup done, getting outfits and all that kind of stuff, it ended up I walked in the house that night with $800, 800 and something. So that's how good sometimes the nights could be. Like $800 in one fucking night, child. Let me tell you, excuse my mouth, but let me tell you, that's that's decent, okay? Especially when you've had the jobs where $800 you would get that with some of the jobs that I worked, you wouldn't get that until like a month of work, like 3 to 4 weeks of working. You wouldn't get nowhere near like 800. So it was like, okay. But it was like I said, it was not every night that would occur. Like it was just like certain days would just be more blessed than others. I can explain it that way. So, um, but yeah, it was. Ugh. I don't even know. Like to this day, I don't even know how to feel about it. Like it was an experience. That's mainly what I can say. It was kind of fun. It was. I kind of wish that I was able to keep up with my clients because I really like my clients and they really like me. But I cannot deal with that club no more. The racism, the frustration, the ignorance, the disrespect. It was just like, no. So the second story that I'm gonna share with you guys is I used to have a friend who worked as a bouncer, talking about the same person that I just was talking about. Worked at that club that I was just speaking on that I made $800 in one night, possibly over 1,000. And he was the bouncer at the club, and he had put in a good word for me and got me the job. And he used to take me to work every time I went to work. We both worked at the same place now that they hired me. So he would take me to work with him. And a lot of the times that we went to work, he would take me on his motorcycle. We wouldn't even get in the car. We go on his motorcycle. And before I had started riding with him on his motorcycle, I had never rode on a motorcycle before. Child, it was scary for me at first. But I had trusted him, Like, you know, he was like a real cool, real laid back, smooth dude. Like, he was a real good guy. And I knew that he was definitely going to be protective because that was just what he was known for. He was in the service and stuff like that. He had like that stature of somebody that was very protective. So I knew, like, okay, when I'm with him, I ain't going to have to worry about nothing because ain't nobody going to mess with me. So I used to feel very protected around him for sure. Um, and yeah, he used to take me to work, and I used to have fun riding on the back. I went from being scared to get on the back of the motorcycle to having fun riding on the back of that motorcycle because I was like, wait a minute, hold up, this is actually kind of fun. Feeling the wind flowing through your hair and stuff like that, and just like you know, like really enjoying the trip is very enjoyable. It was like, yes, this is it. So I do kind of miss that riding on the back of the motorcycle because it was fun. I'm not gonna lie. After I got used to it, like when I first started riding with him, ooh, I was scared, no lie. But because I trusted him and because he was a really good sport, he was very patient with me and everything. Um, it made it a bit easier, you know, to do. So, um, that was him being a good friend by helping me out to get into that club, and be able to really be able to make some money. Even though I couldn't stay at that club for too long because it was crazy and it was racist and it was weird. But anyway, the next mini story that I want to share with you guys is I remember one time, I guess I did so great with dancing on the pole and like dealing with the clients and dealing with the customers and stuff at the club that literally at one of the clubs that I was working at, the management had asked me to basically train and teach one of their newbies that had just came in there that day to just try it out. They had just hired her. They had asked me to teach her some moves and stuff and just like kind of school her a little bit. And I was like, oh, okay. Like they didn't even give me like no compliment or nothing asking me to do it. They didn't pay me to do it. And I should have charged them. I should have said, if I'm going to teach her anything, y'all need to pay. But, you know, I was young and didn't really realize that I could have asked them to, okay, well, tip me out or something because this is my skills that I'm passing on to this girl for free. Like, y'all tripping. But, you know, you live and you learn. I wouldn't do that today. Today, if I was still dancing and somebody asked me for management to teach somebody something, I'd be like, no, y'all gonna pay me? And if they say they're not gonna pay me, I'm like, no. Why am I doing free work, free labor? Yeah, no, that's not happening. But they got me then. This was years ago. So I was like in my I was like either early to mid 20s at this time when that actually happened. But I like kind of took it as a compliment though because I was like, oh, okay, like you brand new to the game. Well, not really brand new because I had been dancing for a couple of years, but brand new to the game to the point where I wasn't one of the veterans that was in the same club that, you know, probably, you know, they could have asked. But they knew not to ask the veteran because, like I just said, the veterans is not going to do it for free. They're going to be like, you going to pay me? And I recognize that now that I'm older. I realize I'm like, that's why they didn't ask none of the veterans that was in there. Because they knew that she ain't doing it for free. If she going to teach somebody something, she going to charge. And that's what I should have did. But like I said, these days now, I guess that's probably one of the reasons why I'm not dancing now. Because these days now, I'm not taking certain ish. I'm not letting ish slide. None of that. So, take it as it resonates. Because, child, listen, I done been through enough being taken advantage of. We're not going through that no more. Period. We're just not. We're drawing a line there. So, therefore, I'm like, I learned my lesson from doing that for free. Yo, don't do that for free. If you're really good at what you do and you're good enough to people to come to you personally and ask you to school somebody else or teach somebody else it, and give them some tips and tricks. Make sure you get a tip or something out of that. Okay, don't be letting these people use you and get your skills for free. I know better now, though. All right, so then I remember one time it was actually a few times that this happened where, like, I had this one time where I was at this other upscale club. It's not the same club that I made the $800 at, but I was at another upscale club that I used to make a lot of money there too. And this was one particular night that I made a lot of money, and I made like 400 something dollars. I think like $450 or something like that off of one customer, one client that came in. He was like a dream client. I swear to goodness, it was like a dream that day. So it was like really slow for me. Now, mind you, the club was pretty crowded that day because I think it was like one of those Fridays or Saturdays, like on a weekend. So it was like kind of crowded. But for some reason, like I was having a hard time making money that night. Like I was just kind of nickel and dominant, not really nickels and dimes. Y'all know it was dollars and fives and stuff like that. But like when I say nickel and dominant, I'm like I was getting it little by little by little by little. So then I had met this one guy. He was like a black upscale kind of guy where he was like suited up from head to toe. You could tell he had money just by looking at him. And he was very quiet. He didn't speak very much. And he was not like touchy feely like a lot of the other guys really creep me. They used to creep me out so much with all the trying to touch on you all the time and all that kind of stuff. He was not like that. He was like very much a gentleman. Like he looked at me when I think I had came over to him just to like pick up a tip or whatever because I had just got off the stage or something like that. And he looked at me up and down, and then he was like, "Come on." And I followed him. He went to the private rooms, and he directed us. I didn't direct us. He directed us to the private rooms. And he's the one that directed us directly to the private rooms that were more expensive. These private rooms were like $250 an hour. Was it 250 or 350? Something like that. 250, 350 an hour. And it was like, like 30 minutes, certain amount, 45 minutes, certain amount. I think we had an hour because I remember being in there for quite a minute with him. And I just danced, and he did not have any mind with that. He was not touchy-feely all over me. If he did touch me, he asked me did I feel comfortable with it. Like, he was such a gentleman. And y'all, not only did he get like a lot of dances and stuff and like stayed in that room for a long time with me to the point that I know he had to pay just at least 300, 350 just for the room. But also, when he paid me over like $200. So that's like 500. Yeah, I made almost $500. If not 500, I made almost $500 off of that man in one night. And he didn't demand for me to do anything. He didn't ask me to do any weird, creepy stuff like a lot of times I used to get some real creeps, okay? But he wasn't one of them. And I had a few situations. He was the best experience with that because he was such a gentleman. But I have had a definite few different situations where I had some really nice, sweet, kind guys that were generous, that really spent money heavy with me. And then when I left the establishment, I couldn't, work with them anymore. And it kind of was like a serious letdown because it was like, oh man, like that was one of my favorite clients, one of my favorite customers. But I was just appreciative that I was able to at least get what I was able to get when I did. But I just sometimes be thinking to myself like, dang, you should have got their number, or you probably should have just like tried to keep in touch with them or something. But I don't know. Anywho, it's another story where Oh man, it just went out of my head. If it comes back, I'll tell y'all. This one is about, oh man, one of my birthdays. All right, so y'all should know, like on a birthday, like you turn up, you might allow yourself to get drunk just because it's your birthday and stuff like that. Like I don't do that now. I'm 33, so I don't do that now. But I did used to do that, like when I was younger, when I was like in my early, like around 23, 24, early 20s to mid 20s. I used to be that way, but not for too long though. But I remember it was this one time frame when I turned up for my birthday. This was not the only time I turned up for my birthday, but this was one of the times where I was drinking all day and people kept getting me drinks. So it was just like so crazy because it was like, dang. When I would try to stop drinking, people would keep giving me even more drinks. And at that point, I would go ahead and drink them because I was like, I want to have fun. So when I drink, I know that I usually always have fun when I drink, when I dance. And not only did I always have fun, I used to always make really good money, a lot better money when I was drinking than when I was completely sober. It was very seldom that I could work sober because it was so much different stuff that I just could not keep overlooking. But when I was drunk, I could overlook it like no problem because it's just like, I don't give a hoot. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of times like I just would go ahead and drink. But this particular time, it was my birthday too, so it was even more of a reason for me to go ahead and drink. So I had been drinking all day long, and I had been working all day long. And I went to the after hour after work. I had worked at work all day, at the club all day, and then I went to the after hour to work at the after hour so I could make as much money as I could because it's my birthday. And a couple of girls had invited me to go to the after hour when they found out that it was my birthday because they was like, let's celebrate, whatever, boom, boom, boom. So I was like, okay, cool. So we all went out. Overall, I had had a good time until it was time to leave. And the people that I had came with, like they had their own cars and stuff, and they had left earlier than I did. And I was one of the last ones left. And it was these two guys that kept getting dances from me throughout the night. And so I thought they was cool because they kept getting dances with me. And so when it was about that time to leave and they see me getting dressed and stuff and getting ready to leave, they was like, you need a ride? And I was like, yeah, I don't even know where I'm going. They was like, where you going? And I told them the area. I didn't tell them my address enough. I just told them the area. And they was like, oh, we can give you a ride. We'll take you. And at first, I was like, okay, cool. I was thinking that it was a good thing because I was like, I didn't have a ride. So even though I wasn't like super duper far from my house, like I was like maybe roughly around 6 to 7 blocks away from where I lived at. So I literally was walking distance. The way I walk, I was walking distance from my crib. So it wasn't like too big of a deal to walk home. But at that time of the morning, like, of course, it was like about between 6 and 7 a.m. or 5, between 5 and 7. And so sometimes people might be acting crazy, sometimes maybe not, you know. So that's why at first I was looking at it as a good thing that they was offering me to ride. And I got as far as to get in the car, y'all. I got in the car. And then something just dawned on me. As soon as I got in the car, something said, get out this car right now. These dudes are just too suspect. And it was two guys. And I didn't even question myself or whatever that voice was in my head. It just dawned on me and like clicked in my head. I didn't even say nothing to them. I just looked at them and then I darted. I got out the car so fast and then I walked home. Got myself home. And, I worked that story up because it was like they were kind of sneaky and weird acting. And I don't know what the heck they was planning. And I'm like, I was by myself and stuff. And I'm like, I'm not even about to take that chance and play with my own life. I don't know what these dudes is about. I don't know what they're capable of doing. I don't know what they thinking about doing. I don't know. But that could have been the same day. But if it wasn't the same day, it was another time that I remember I was fucked up. Excuse my mouth, but I was fucked up. Okay, I was toasted. Okay, white girl drunk, and I'm not no white girl, but I was white girl wasted. Okay, and I don't like to be around people when people act stupid, act weird. So I guess the people that I usually roll with was acting dumb, and so I decided to go ahead and walk and get myself back home that night or whatever. And for some reason, I don't know why, but I didn't have no regular shoes on. I had my dad's shoes on. And now the area that I lived in, now I don't live at the best area now, but the area that I lived in back then was like, really, 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 really like kind of the slums type thing. So it was like, might not be the best idea to be traveling around also willy nilly in that area, especially at where I was at today. And this was, of course, another time where it's early morning hours. So I probably went to the after hour that day too. Like I said, it could have been the same day. I'm not sure though. But I remember that I was walking home and I had got to the point that I had took my shoes off because I had my dance shoes on. I don't even know how, but like I said, I was drunk, so that's probably how. Probably left my shoes somewhere. But I don't even know how, but I was walking the concrete ground with stilettos that was this high. So when I realized it and I kept like tripping all over the place because I was drunk too, I took my shoes off. I started walking the ground barefoot or whatever because I was just like, I'm not about to break my neck out here trying to get home. And then this woman, like she was like kind of middle age, maybe around like her 40, 45 maybe. Um, she seen me and like she looked like she probably was homeless or just probably really, 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 really down on her luck. But she seen me and like she looked like I said, like she didn't really look homeless, but like I said, she looked like she probably was a bit down on her luck because she had on like beat up clothes and stuff like that. But she didn't look dirty. She just looked kind of like, I don't know, just kind of like maybe down on her luck. That's the only way that I can really describe the situation. But anyway, I remember she looked at me, she saw me walking home, and she was like, "Hey, little mama." And I looked around, I'm like, who the hell talking to me? At certain hours of the day, you don't want nobody to talk to you. And it was like way early in the morning, like I said, between like 5 and 7 a.m. So I'm like, who the hell was talking to me? And I seen this little lady. And she was like, "Hey, little mama, what you doing out here this time of night? I mean, this hour." Because it wasn't nighttime no more. It was the morning. And she was like, "What you doing out here this hour?" And then she said, "And then you out here with these, what is these? Stripper heels?" She's like, "You a dancer?" Because she seen the heels in my hand. And I was like, "Yeah, why?" She's like, "Girl, can you mind if I walk you to your home? You going home, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "You mind if I walk you home?" I was like, "Do I gotta give you something?" She was like, "No." She was like, "You remind me of my daughter. You're so beautiful." And she's like, "And I don't like how you just walking at this hour. It's crazy people be out at this time. I would feel better to walk with you." She's like, "You ain't gotta worry about me. I got a daughter around your age." She said, "How old are you?" And I told her I was like in my, like I said, mid to, later 20s. And she said, "Yeah, you the same age as my daughter." She's like, I just, I would want somebody to help my daughter out if she's out here like this. She's like, God bless you. She's like, you trying to pay them bills, right? I said, yeah, it is. You know how it is. And she was like, yeah, well, you stay safe out here and you be careful. And I was like, I'm going to do the best that I can. And I told her, thank you. She walked me to my door, made sure I got in the house. And I told her, thank you, because, it's it's like strangers can be so sweet sometimes, and some people that you've known for years can be so evil and so mean and messed up. It's just weird. But yeah, so that's all the stories that I had already pre-planned to tell you guys. I was thinking of some stuff while I was talking, but I was just trying to like make a decision in the middle of me talking whether I should tell you guys or not. I remember it was this driver, and I'm gonna say his name because his name is so popular, and I'm not gonna give out his last name. I had this driver. He was so funny. Oh my gosh, he was so cool and laid back and down to earth. Like he's the one of my favorite drivers. Like I think I've had about three favorite drivers, and he was one of them. His name was Mr. Ed. And it was already funny when I had met him and I found out his name was Mr. Ed because I used to watch the show. Um, what is that show? The Gables or something like that with the horse called Mr. Ed. I used to watch that. So when I found out that his name was Mr. Ed when I first met him, I was like, "Oh, you funny." And I said, "And you got a funny name." And he was like, "Well, yeah, that's how it be sometimes." Oh man, I miss Mr. Ed. Mr. Ed was so cool. So Mr. Ed was like one of my favorite drivers because like I've had a number of drivers throughout the years dancing because I realized like it's not that safe, going on the bus and walking around. So a lot of times I had drivers that drove me around and stuff. And Mr. Ed was one of my drivers. And yo, Mr. Ed was so cool. He was so down to earth. He was so funny. And I'm saying was because I don't even know how to get in contact with Mr. Ed no more. To be honest, if I was to find his number today or tomorrow, I would hit him up and start riding with him again if he's still riding around and doing hacking. Because Mr. Ed was cool as shit. Like, and even though sometimes riding with a bunch of girls, there might end up being some arguments or something from time to time, it was always fun with Mr. Ed. Mr. Ed had a van. And yo, literally, every time I got in that van, I always had fun because he would have us turning up the music, twerking in the car. Mr. Ed drove us one day to one of my homies, one of my girlfriends. We still cool to this day. Like we ain't as cool as we used to be, but to this day, we friends on Facebook. We friends on Instagram. I remember her telling me on Instagram, "Girl, stop making so many pages that I gotta accept your friend request on." So we still cool to this day. And I remember Mr. Ed was our driver when one day I'm gonna call her uh Betty Boop, okay? Cause she liked Betty Boop a lot, so I'm gonna call her Betty Boop. So she she had told us that she had found out one night that we was working when we got off, and we was riding in the car with Mr. Ed. She said that she had found out something, and she just wanted to check on it. So she told Mr. Ed to drive her somewhere that he ain't never usually drive her to before. And she was like, just let me see something real quick, Mr. Ed. It wasn't her place, so he wasn't dropping her off. She just wanted to, I guess, check something out. So Mr. Ed, like I said, Mr. Ed was cool as shit. So he let her. He said, okay, fine, it's no problem. And to try to make a long story short, the girl found out that her boyfriend at the time was cheating on her. And the girl that he was cheating on her with was right there in the house with her. and was trying to fight her. Oh, it was a whole situation. It was a whole thing. And then Mr. Ed had to pull up and damn near go in there and grab the girl out so that we could take her home so that she won't get herself in those, situations, she get locked up or anything like that. Yo. When I used to dance, it was wild. I'm not gonna lie, but it was kind of fun too. No lie, it was it was kind of like a combination of both crazy, weird, and fun, all in one. Wild. But anyway, y'all, I just had to tell y'all about Mr. Ed. I don't even know why Mr. Ed is even on my mind. I pray Mr. Ed is okay and that he's still driving around. And I get to be able to see his information and be able to contact him again to be able to ride with him again because he was one of my favorite drivers, yo. Real rap. But anyway, y'all, that's the end of this video. Thank you guys if you watched the video all the way through. I appreciate you so much. Just make sure that you don't forget to press that subscribe button and become what? Become a part of the Truth Tribe. Cause why? Cause when you really rock with Ruth, you rocking with the truth. So yeah, if you like the truth, then you automatically gonna like Ruth. Period. All right. Point blank. Period. It's a promise. It's a guarantee. So guys, I will see you guys in the next video. Catch you next time. Peace out.